off, I suggest y'all set it off. I suggest y'all set it off. Come on and let's set it off. What up, guys? This is the Gospel According to Mark with a C. He is I and I am he. Just taking some time to tell you exactly what's on my mind. Thank you for joining me once again, my friends. I hope all is well with you. Check it out right off the top, guys. I want to give a great big shout out of Happy Veterans Day to all of the women and men who served in our armed forces. Everybody out there, whether they did it today or tomorrow or yesterday, big respect to you guys because you do what so many of us have not done, which help us to maintain our freedoms here in this country, which find themselves pretty much under attack almost every day. So it's important. It's important that we remember, that we take the time to remember the sacrifices, that we remember the accomplishments of these people who helped our country to be great. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there, right, who love to jump on that. When was this country great? Because, you know, ever since Trump started running with the Make America Great Again thing, one of the things that a lot of my black brothers and sisters, as well as the American Society of Magical Liberals, like to do is question the greatness of America. And they will smugly say, when was America great? Was it great when black people couldn't do this or women couldn't do that? No. What you need to understand, right, is that greatness is something that perseveres. It's not that the country was just always great no matter what. This is not somewhere over the rainbow. This ain't Rainbow Bright Land, all right? This ain't the merry old land of Oz. Every country has to go through their trials, their dark times, their bloody times, their violent times, their unfair times. But you measure a country by how well it gets past that, by the steps it takes to make things better. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think the country was pretty great when I was born. The country got immensely better when I stepped onto the scene. It was also great when my grandfather, God rest him, came up from the South when he was on a farm and he was dirt poor. You know the story. He came to New York looking for a better life for his wife and his 3 daughters, one of which was my beautiful mother. Shout out to her. He served in the armed forces. He was a World War II veteran. He was able to attain a house, 2 houses actually, and he put all 3 of his daughters through private school way back in the 50s and the 60s. Sorry, Mom. But it's true, all right? And I would not deny that man his greatness. I would not deny him his accomplishments. And that man stood every time the American national anthem was played. He saluted. He flew his flag every 4th of July. I posted his picture on Twitter, on X, not too long ago, where he was doing that, saluting. This is what he always did. And he always taught me, yes, Mark, yes, grandson. I was named for him, by the way. We've come a long way. Right? And we still have a long way to go. But he died believing in the greatness of this country, right? Even though it was an injury from wartime that actually caught up to him in his later years, because, you know, back then they didn't have all the tools that they needed to successfully operate and do these procedures. So ultimately, you know, it took him out, but he lived until 89, 90 years old. You know, he lived a good life and we all got to know him and respect him. He's one of the best men, if not the best man I've ever known in my life. My father as well, you know, he served in the Air Force, you know. So when you talk about the greatness of America, the ironic thing about it is for a lot of us black people who are doing that, who are saying, when was America great? What, don't we celebrate Black History Month? You know, don't we celebrate Black Music Month? Don't we celebrate these things? I would think that there's some greatness involved in Black history, right? In this country. It's ironic, isn't it? That the same people who would say, when was America great, would turn around and say that we have things to celebrate in terms of our history. This is a smack in the face to our forefathers, to our ancestors, to everybody who fought to make this country great. Right? So I think about these things, right? And I think about how they manifest themselves. I mean, we just had this election where black men were being left holding the bag because Kamala Harris didn't win and everybody wanted to smack us around and everything. And they act like they're just so confused and they just can't understand why it is that black men would have been looking somewhere else this election cycle. Well, a lot of us see what's going on out here, and I talked about this on previous videos. A lot of us are sick and tired of not having a say in what goes on with our children, what goes on in our homes. A lot of us are ready in this generation to be leaders. All right. This is the reason why we had the Million Man March back in 1995, which I was there with my father, much, much younger, but I was there and I remember the message of it, the message of self-determination, of accountability, of wanting to be there for your family, of wanting your woman and your children to believe in you. This is something we've always stood for. So now you have a party that is telling you that it's okay to terminate pregnancies. Men, of course, can't carry children. We've been reminded that over and over again. We can't. All right. So we got nothing to say about that. Well, a lot of us men disagree. We want to have something to say about that. We want to offer women better choices. Ultimately, that's what we want. We don't want that to be the choice. When you talk about pro-choice, I want their choice to be that they can have good men versus these deadbeats that are out here. And we raise our daughters to know the difference between that. So you have a lot of men out here who feel like we've been slighted, that no one is listening to us. We see the cheapening of black men everywhere, despite the fact that the statistics have well defined the consequences of not having black fathers in the home. Allow me to read some of them for you. Stay right there. All right. It says here, these are some of the statistics about fatherless homes, right? In 2022, about 18.3 million children in the United States, or roughly 1 in 4 children, lived without their father in the home. Single-parent homes are about 80% of the homes that are led by single mothers. Now, here are the statistics. Children from single-parent families are twice as likely to experience mental health problems than children living with married parents. Children with an involved father are more likely to perform well in school. Children without a father are 5 times more likely to live in poverty than children in 2-parent households. 90% of homeless and runaway children come from fatherless homes. 90%. Children without fathers are 9 times more likely to drop out of school. The U.S. has a higher rate of children living in single-parent households than any other country. For example, only 3% of children in China live in single-parent households, compared with 23% in the U.S. And you see the productivity of China. Okay. Now, I'm not trying to hold up a communist country, but I'm just saying the actual dynamic of having a father in the home versus not having a father in the home. It's sad that people want to argue me down about these types of things. You would think, with these type of facts and statistics that are out there, you would think that more of our pop culture references, more of our music, all of these things, you would think more of that would encourage productive unions between men and women. It would encourage fathers to be in the home. You would think so, right? But unfortunately, that's not what we get in these movies, in these TV shows, in these books. It seems that everything in pop culture, on TV, you can't find a father most of the time, a competent father that's in the home, especially black father, right? But you would think we would dedicate more of our programming to this if we really cared about our children. But unfortunately, that's not what we see, okay? So I want to point something out here, guys, because it was 2 years ago, and I'm going to tie this in. It was 2 years ago that Wakanda Forever came out. 2 years ago today, as a matter of fact, and on Twitter X, we have been utilizing the hashtag recast T'Challa, hashtag Wakanda Forever, hashtag T'Challa Forever, and my own hashtag reboot Black Panther, because I want a whole new creative team. But that was today in history. 2 years ago today, Wakanda Forever came out, and we got to see what Wakanda looked like without its king, without its black man. Right? And at the time, I made the comparison between Wakanda Forever and Good Times, when they took the father out of the home. James Evans, by the way, shout out to the actor John Amos, who recently passed away, was the first black father ever seen on TV, the head of family. All right. And they killed him. Right. So it just goes to show you how much people value these things, how much they value the black man's place in all of this. So we have the second anniversary of Wakanda Forever, and T'Challa was killed, a character that existed over 50 years before Chadwick Boseman played him. For some reason, they thought that it was a good idea, the very first black Marvel superhero, to kill that superhero. Even though the original Black Panther movie made $1 billion, probably over $1 billion, even though it was beloved all over the world, even though there were so many kids who were inspired by this character, they decided that it was okay. It was okay to kill this character. Okay? We talk about when was America great. When my grandfather was at the head of his family, our family, they were prosperous. Like I said, they had 2 homes. He sent his daughters to private school. You know, everything was looking good. They were off to a great start. And you see that. You know what I mean? I don't understand why it's such a fight when you talk about the black male presence in film, in TV, in books, in literature, in families, why it is belittled the way it is. I mean, this is all, it might seem like I'm talking about different things here, but it's all part of the same phenomenon. You know what I mean? This is worth fighting for. T'Challa is worth fighting for because T'Challa represents a king in charge of a nation the same way that a father represents a family. You know what I mean? It's very important. Nobody would ever question the importance of a mother. Every black woman who walks up and down the street, we say, hey, queen, hey, queen, hey, queen. But where's the king? You know what I mean? Where's the love for the king? Where's the sense of urgency to have a king, to have a father? This is the reason why I go so hard for the Recast T'Challa movement, because our children are out there every single day. You got these little simpletons out here who are talking about, oh, T'Challa Jr., where's your sense of urgency? The kids, the children are out there now, today, killing each other, wishing they were never born. Do you not understand that they need this now? They needed it 2 years ago when they took away this role model, when they took away this ideal. And we continue, you'd rather call me a coon. That's the most fucking ridiculous thing in the world. That just tells you how far gone we are as a community, when you would to look at somebody like me, who my whole life, imperfect man that I am, but my whole life, I've cared about what's going on in my community so I could be better for the world. Because of course, you have to start at home first, right? So when you get tired of seeing yourself on stage, people like you, who look like you, twerking, you know what I mean, on a national stage, representing everything that is profane and vulgar and worthless. This is what they're equating us with. And you take away something that was great, that symbolizes something that is great, and you took that away. But there's no shortage of people out here who are doing wrong. You have no problem with presenting that to the world. It's all over the internet. Everybody shares videos of black people doing crimes, black people being vulgar, black people fighting, black men not being there for their children is a running joke to everybody. But you would dare to take away something like this, a character that is royal, a character that has history, that has a legacy. You don't have too many of those out there. This is the reason why we continue to talk about it. Nobody would dare do something like that to Superman. Nobody would dare do anything like that to Batman or Spider-Man. No, even if they were so-called killed in the comic, they do come back, you know, or if they were killed on screen or something like that. You would never have Metropolis go on indefinitely without Superman. You would never have Gotham City go on indefinitely without Batman. There would never be a question of that. He will always rise. He will always come back. But you had a funeral for T'Challa Black Panther. It's amazing. But this is something that I've talked about so much, so much. We are so comfortable with dead black men. As a matter of fact, that's the only time we get love as black men. When we die or when we put on a wig and a dress and some heels, then all of a sudden everybody cares about us. They care about our rights. When it comes to a man wanting to be a father, wanting to be a husband, wanting to be a king, oh, that's a joke. Well, I'm here to tell you, there are those of us out here, and I give a shout out to all of my brothers out here, you know, all of my black brothers out here, a lot of white brothers, they're feeling the same thing. As a matter of fact, you know, a lot of them, this is just something that's going on in America, you know, that they're devaluing the presence of men in our society. But we push back on that. So don't expect us to apologize for looking at political options. Don't expect us to apologize for continuing to push for better representation. We're tired of seeing our daughters look like sluts, look like hoes and prostitutes. We're tired of seeing our sons look like sluts, look like hoes and prostitutes. We're ready to get this thing back on track. We're ready to make America great again. Fuck you if you don't understand. You can like, you can share, you can subscribe if you want to. You can go on and hit the Super Thanks feature on each and every one of my videos, because you know YouTube, they don't push my videos. And now you see why. Here's another example of that. All right, guys, thank you for listening. I'll catch you on the next one. This is The Gospel According to Mark with a C. Rock on.